What's going on, everyone? Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up? What's up? We're back, right? What's going on, everyone? I want to welcome everyone to another episode of the Purple Room by Trabaja, where we create space for real career conversations, real growth, and real strategy for professionals of color and underrepresented talent in tech and beyond. I'm your host, Armand Cheeks, Diversitech Techfluencer, and founder of Signal Solution Marketing and Consulting Technologies. I'm excited to welcome you back to another episode of this powerful workshop series. Each episode, we've been blessed to have just some amazing top tier subject matter experts to come in and lead a high impact workshop that really can help you level up your skills, your mindset, and your career trajectory. And believe it or not, we are on episode 4 now. Like, we're on episode 4. We've gotten to speak to 3 amazing people in the past, and we have another amazing guest moving forward. So, today's topic is really especially important for those of you that are navigating, building, and leaning on your professional network. I'm going to introduce our guest right here in a second. Our guest today is Britt Hunter. Britt Hunter, she's really knows how to lead through the pivot. Once a top-ranked Division I athlete, Britt's basketball dreams came to a halt after a career-ending injury at Duke and UConn. But that wasn't the end of her story. It was really the start of her impact. She traded the hardwood for hallways, spending 7 years in Harlem as a fourth-grade teacher, dean, and vice principal, mentoring students and managing chaos and mastering the art of real-world leadership. Then came the next chapter for her, an MBA from Vanderbilt, a jump to Microsoft, and a bold mission to develop leaders who can own the room and shift the culture. Today, Britt is a powerhouse speaker, a leadership development coach, and what's her secret sauce? Her secret sauce is simple. It's candid storytelling, unapologetic truth telling, and a whole lot of heart. Whether she's on stage or in a one-on-one session, Britt helps change makers lead with courage, communicate with clarity, and turn their setbacks into their superpower. So today's workshop is aptly titled "The Power Five." You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, I'm sure that's something that we've heard before. People have heard it before, but I don't think you've heard it in the way that Britt has put together her workshop. So I'm really think that as an audience, we're really fortunate to hear that from her. And whether you're early in your tech career, your mid-career, whether you're transitioning into tech, really being able to figure out who your Power 5 is something that's going to help catapult you to that next level. So, without further delay, we're going to dive into today's session. I'm going to invite our guest up. So, Britt, welcome to the stage.
Hello, everybody. And also welcome Nicole Hannah Jones. She is not only the author of the 1619 Project, but she is the first piece of artwork that I've ever purchased. So shout out to Nicole Hannah Jones. Thank you, Armand, for the amazing introduction. And thank you I heard that quick pivot. You went from Brit to Brittany to Brit. And I was like, it's Brit.
Yeah, I know. It's like we're not gonna give them the whole government. We had to give it real quick, but I just had to let them know that you may see Brittany or you may think it's Brittany, but we're gonna call it Brit. That's what it is, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Cool.
we're gonna get your slides up, and I'm gonna drop down. But I thank you for being here. I know it's gonna be a very impactful workshop. And as we were saying backstage, like with the basketball, like I don't know, she's saying that it was coincidental. But she thinks in fives, right? She thinks in fives because that's just the way the game is, right?
And I played the 5. I played the
Right?
5 position. So it's up here.
Right?
You got your third eye open. You got your third eye open.
Comes full circle. So I'm gonna drop down and let you do your thing. And if you need me, you know how to reach me.
All
and
right,
if you're here in the comments, I just want to encourage you to engage, to be active, ask questions, let people know where you're coming in from, connect with people in the comments, because we're gonna have some fun. So do your thing.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. I plan to make this as engaging and painless as possible. So real quick, before I jump in, if you are joining this call looking for a oh, this is gonna get me a job tomorrow, or oh, I'm gonna make $500,000 in 2 weeks. This is not that. Okay. This is not that. I am a full believer in the slow elevator because that is what this topic is about. The Power Five is all about relationships and being intentional about those relationships. And you hear people talk about it and they just say, be intentional with who you network with, be intentional with who you spend time with. And I love that message, but there's rarely an opportunity for someone to tell you how to do that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. There's actually an activity that you're going to do with me because I do this activity like every 18 months. So let's jump on in. Okay, take a look at the screen. Maybe you have seen some of these quotes before. Maybe you haven't. Go ahead and screenshot this screen. The reason I have all of these quotes here is to offer some validation to what I'm trying to tell you. And that is, it matters who you are surrounding yourself with on a regular basis. You are the average of the 5 people you spend time with. Like Michelle Obama says, don't bring nobody in here who's going to weigh you down. Warren Buffett, surround yourself with people that push you to do better. Iman, the lovely Iman model. My advice is find your tribe, collect them, and have multiple of them. Okay. So it's really, really important. And I think it's something that we all overlook. And it is especially important when you are trying to pivot into something new. When you're trying to pivot, yes, you got to get the resume. Yes, you got to go on LinkedIn. Yes, you got to go to the coffee chats. Sure. But you need a tribe around you that is moving in the same direction. And I know all of you can think of at least 2 to 3 people who don't understand your vision, who don't understand the next place you're trying to go, and who are probably trying to convince you, you don't need to do all of that. Just hang out here with me. And we love them. We do. But you can't take everybody with you when you're trying to go to the top. Okay. So let's get into it. Today's agenda is pretty straightforward. I would love to know who is in the building today. I want to know where y'all are coming from. So if you're in the chat, please tell me what city you're in. I'm coming from the A. Okay. This is my 7th city. So if I say a city that I've been at and you've been there too, please show me some love. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Any OHIOers? Okay. I have lived in Connecticut. Okay, Virginia. All right. I have lived in Connecticut. I have lived in North Carolina. I have lived in Harlem. I have lived in Nashville. I have lived in Philly. I have lived in Seattle. And now I'm here in Atlanta. People always ask me, what's your favorite city? It's Philly. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. All right. Next, I'm going to get into who I am. Right. We did the bio, but I want to walk you through my journey. Then we're going to talk about the Power Five, and then we're going to talk about the solution to building a stronger Power Five is by joining a mastermind. I'm going to teach you how to build your own mastermind. Okay. And then we're going to talk about putting all of this into action. Feels like a good idea, but we need to do action. Right. It doesn't, you can go to this workshop and feel good about yourself, but if you're not taking a next step after today, what were we here for? Okay. Let's get into it. So, who am I? Well, we're going to go through those cities again. My name is Britt Hunter, and I am from Columbus, Ohio. And in 2003, I was the #1 player in the country for women's basketball, leaving high school. I was the first female to participate in the McDonald's All-American Slam Dunk Contest, and that took me to Duke University. I then transferred to UConn, which is where I graduated. I don't have any rings. Let's not talk about it. I know there's questions about it. Let's just move forward. I then coached at Temple for a year and then went back to grad school. And we all do this when we don't know what to do. We go to school. So I went back to grad school and I had a nice pivotal moment. When I was leaving grad school, I had an option to work at Pepsi in a corporate job or be a dean of students. Pepsi at 23, Dean of Students at 23. I chose Dean of Students. Best decision I ever made. I spent 7 years in education in Harlem. So I was a dean, a vice principal, and a fourth grade teacher. My students are now 20 and 21, which is crazy. I know you're wondering, how old are you, Britt? Well, figure it out with the math, guys. After I left education, after being a little bit exhausted, I pivoted and went to business school at Vanderbilt. And from there, I landed at Microsoft, which is how I ended up in Seattle. And thus I moved to Atlanta. Now, I left Microsoft um, about March before the chaos broke out. So if you are going through layoffs, trust me, I understand. I overstand. Okay. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I promise you. All of these pivots and twists and turns with all that chaos, the most important thing for me was who I was spending time with. It's who I'm spending time with. It's how they think. It's how they move. It's who they surround themselves with, and it's how they spend their time. And every single point, my circle of 5 adjusted because it had to. So when we think about our support system, our Power 5, we usually think about them in the form of, oh, I'm in a hole. I'm going through a really tough time. You really want your support system to back you. And so I want to know how you got through your last challenge. What was the last challenge you went through? And how did you get through it? So I'm going to talk to you about one of the biggest challenges that I went through. So those kids right there, those are my fourth grade students. That's one batch of them. What you have here, you have Nicholas, you got Abriana, Stephen. Woo! If you've been a teacher, this is the one right here. Stephen, he's smiling today. And this was graduation day, so I was also smiling. Love Stephen, but it's time to go. And my two little babies here, Richard and AJ. So very sweet kids. And they were in fourth grade in the state of New York. Now, if you're not familiar with the state of New York, standardized testing is a very big deal. It is kind of a life or death situation in the state of New York. So I worked at a charter school, and charter school, whether you like them or not, is a parent choice school, right? So instead of going to the really bad school in my neighborhood in the Bronx, I get to get into a lottery and go to this other school in Harlem that's high achieving. And that's what my kids are. They're members of a lottery that got in, and they stayed together throughout the entire experience in this charter school. Now, the problem with New York schools is that just like GMATs, just like GREs, just like any standardized test, they're extremely rigorous. They require a lot of practice. But see, in the state of New York, if you're a fourth grader and you don't do well on your fourth grade exam, you won't be able to sit for your high school entrance exam at a great high school. The Hunter Highs, the Stuyvesants. So let me say that a different way. If one of my fourth graders right here comes in with a bad attitude and doesn't feel like trying, and he bombs his test at the end of the year, he will never be able to sit for the Hunter High exam when he's in 8th grade. It doesn't make any sense. But that's what we call a sorting tool. And that's exactly what they were going through. And so it was very high stakes. This was not teaching math and reading. It was like, we got to get y'all across the finish line, every single one of you, if you want to have a chance at a good high school and thus go to college. Now, why am I telling this story? Because you see, I would pump my kids up. I'd be like, hey, y'all, you coming in here? I got kids throwing up during practice tests. I got kids using the bathroom on themselves because they're so afraid they're going to run out of time if they go to the bathroom. I mean, the angst was through the roof every single time we had a practice test. But I'm coach. I'm coach. So I'm in there like, hey, y'all, we're not scared. We're not going to be afraid of a piece of paper. We are not going to be afraid of a piece of paper. We are not going to allow one piece of paper hold us back from reaching our potential. You are smarter than this. You are better than this. And guess what? Even if you don't get the score you want, you're still amazing dancers. You're funny. You're great writers. You're great artists. There's so much more than you than just this test. So don't worry about every little thing. Don't worry about getting every single thing right. Do your best and lay it to rest. Now, mind you, I was telling my kids this, but as scared as they were of this test, I was terrified of the GMAT. For 5 years, I'd wanted to go to business school, but I was just like, no, no, this GMAT's going to take me down. This GMAT is going to take me down. So I refused to take it. I refused to study for it. I acted like I didn't need it. I don't need this. The truth was, I was just as scared of a test as my kids were. But when I started to see their progression, they inspired me to start studying for the test. So here's where it gets juicy, y'all. I took the test every 6 weeks, and I studied every day after school. Every time they let out, I would go to the cafe and I would study for 4 hours, go home, go to sleep, get up, go to work, do it again over and over and over and over again. And I would go and take these tests at 8 a.m. on a school day. I would fail the test. I would have to take the C train all the way back up to Harlem and go and teach my classroom as if nothing had happened. But something changed. Something changed. I became a different teacher. I became a different teacher. I stopped teaching to the test and I started teaching them through adversity. See, the same struggles that they were having, the same anxieties that they were having, I was having during my GMAT in the mornings. And I would come in the classroom, we get in a circle, and they say, Miss Hunter, how did it go? I'd be like, come on and sit down. Come on. Didn't go well, y'all. Didn't go well at all. And they would say, what happened? What was it? Was it the fractions? And I would say, y'all, it was the fractions, and these fractions had letters in them. And they would be like, oh my God, letters. And I'd be like, yeah, it gets crazy out here. Well, Miss Hunter, did you circle the hard ones and come back to it later like you taught us to do? And I would say, Elizabeth, fun thing about this test, you can't go back. Gasp. Y'all, we struggle, bust our way all the way through the school year. I was going to take tests and failing them. They were lining up to take practice tests and they were failing them. And we went back and forth, failing, 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 failing. But 5 times later, after 5 times of taking that GMAT, I finally passed. Several $1,000s later as well, I finally passed. And I was admitted to Vanderbilt University. And do you know that fall, when I arrived at Vanderbilt, my principal called me. It said goodbye to all my students. It wished me good luck. They were moving on to 5th grade. And in August, when I was at school, this is when you find out how your kids do. You don't find out right away. You find out months later. She called me in August while I was at school and she said, congratulations. 100% of your class passed both the New York State ELA and math exam. You're the only 4th grade teacher in the school to do it. You're one of only 2 teachers between 3rd and 4th grade to get it done. And shout out to you because you had kids living in shelters. You had kids with IEPs. You had kids who were in 4th grade reading at 2nd grade reading levels. But that was the difference, right? The way I started teaching was different. So my kids were for sure one of the reasons I was able to get through that last challenge, but they were just a piece of it. The second piece of it was my Power 5. It was the people I had to start surrounding myself with. See, because all my friends were teachers and they weren't taking a GMAT. They didn't even know what a GMAT was. I didn't even know what a GMAT was. So in the summertime, when everybody's on break, going on vacation, I'm in a cafe studying. Phone is on D&D. Britt, come hang out. I don't understand. I know you don't understand, because I'm trying to do something bigger. And it's not that I don't respect you guys. It's not that I don't like you guys. It's just that I'm locked in on something right now and I need a different kind of mindset. And do you know when I started working out of these cafes, I was surrounded by other people who were studying for the GRE, studying for the MCAT, studying for the LSAT. That changed everything in my brain. Just by being around people struggling with you changes everything because it keeps your momentum going. So I'm going to explain the Power Five. But first, I want to know who is in your Power Five. And then I'm going to show you who's in mine and how they got there. So there is a document here, and I'm going to drop this link. I'm going to drop it to Armand because I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how to do anything in this chat. Armand's going to drop a link in, and you're going to get this PDF. And this is a workshop, by the way, that I do with 15-year-olds and 40-year-olds. Because it really doesn't matter how old you are. 15-year-olds are trying to make good decisions in high school, and it matters who they're surrounded by. 40-year-old women who have their MBAs are usually trying to get to the C-suite, or they're trying to leave and start their own business, or they're trying to switch industries completely, and it matters who they surround themselves with. So if you click on that link, this document will open up and you can actually start filling this out. So here's what you're going to do. Right here at the top, you're going to write your name. This is you. And then around you, I want you to spend, or rather write 5 names of people you spend the most time with. I always get this question. Does family count? Sure. We will count your family. Sure. If you have a spouse, more than likely you're spending a lot of time with them. If you have children, probably leave them off, right? Just for the sake of this exercise. These are the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now, what you're going to do after that is for each person, you're going to write, what is their value add to you? What is their value add to you? Maybe they're funny. Maybe they have a lot of resources. Maybe they have a great, strong network. Maybe they have amazing ideas all the time. What is their value add to you? Okay. What is their value add to you? Now, here comes the fun part. This is where you just have to be honest. And these 15-year-olds did it. And if they can do it, I know you can do it. And I'm going to tell you what these 15-year-olds told me about their friends. What value do they lack? What's something that they lack? Maybe this person up here is super sweet, super nice, but maybe they don't have a strong network. They just kind of hang around the same 2 people. They don't really grow. They don't think differently. Maybe this person is really funny, but they don't like to travel and explore new things, right? Because both exist. Your Power 5 are going to have things that add value to you, and they're going to have something that they lack. And you just need to point it out. That's all. Just point it out. Now, while you're working through this, I'm going to tell you what some of these 15-year-olds told me. These are 15-year-old students. They are here in Atlanta. We did a workshop. We did this workshop, and we did it with them because, I don't know where you went to high school, but my high school, not a lot of great choices were being made. And that's actually how I became a very successful basketball player, was because I made the right choices and hanging out with the right people. And that I chose to spend my time in the gym instead of in the club. That's just what it was. My friends went to the gym. I had other friends that went to the club, but we didn't spend as much time together. So The 15-year-olds, one girl said, okay, I got about 5 friends. This one is really funny. This one is really nice to me. This one is very giving, and on and on and on it went. And I said, okay, great. Tell the room what value they lack. This girl said, well, this one, he lacks knowledge. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, well, anytime I ask him something, he doesn't know anything. He knows nothing. He can't contribute to the conversation. I said, okay. I said, what about this other one down here that is really kind to you? Yeah, she's really kind, but she lacks leadership. What do you mean by that? Well, she just has a bad attitude. She doesn't really listen to any adults. Okay. So I had to turn to the audience and I said, audience of other 15-year-olds, any thoughts here? Kids' hands went up like, I have a question. I said, yeah, speak your mind. Somebody said, why are these people your friends? Now, we're not 15. So some of you are like, well, I don't have knucklehead friends. Some of you might. But I had the same conversation with women who had their MBAs. Somewhat similar conversation. In fact, it was slightly different. Why? Because they got married, they had kids. And so not only do they not have 5 friends, they only spend time with 2 adults, but they're trying to start a business. And right now I can only lean on my brother or my husband and my sister. And my sister is not trying to do anything new. And my husband, I don't know if I want to involve him in my next dream. I just want him to be a supporter. I can't build with him. And so, same exercise, different circumstance, different outcome, different limitation. So, I'm going to share my Power Five with you all. Before I do that, this is what your Power Five circle should look like. At the top, you should have a mentor. I know we have the conversation about sponsorship, mentorship. We're not really going to have that conversation today. This is someone that you can tap in on and ask honest questions about yourself, about the future, about where things are, and they answer your calls. Okay. They're not someone you cannot reach. I get this question all the time. Well, my mentor never really makes time for me. Honey, find a new mentor. You can also have multiple mentors, but move on. There's multiple people out here willing to help you. I promise you. You should have 2 peers running alongside of you. Okay. These people better be smarter than you. They better be moving faster than you. They should be more creative than you, more networked with you than you. These 2 peers, you can't be the ringleader to everyone. I know it feels good, but how does that help you? It feels good to spread your knowledge and feel needed, but that's not going to help you. And then finally, 2 mentees on the bottom. 2 mentees on the bottom. So, in the story that I shared with you, my students were acting as my mentees. See, they needed to see me bounce back from failure. And that's what mentees do. Because they're looking up to you, you have to maintain a certain bar at all times. So if you've got 2 mentees who are 19 or 20 or 16 and 15, you can't be on IG tripping. Don't do it because they see you. They're watching you. Don't quit your job and then post about how you quit your job and you don't care about them and that and the third. Don't do that. They're watching you. You can't tell your mentees how to behave and then behave differently elsewhere in your life. And that's why mentees are important. They keep you in check. Whether you know it or not, if you are staying in contact with them, they'll keep you honest. Now, here is my Power Five. I'm going to start with, I'm going to start down here and move my way up. So This is Chloe. Chloe is actually one of the first students I ever worked with when I was a dean of students. She is now a senior at UConn, my alma mater, and she's a nursing student. Chloe has stayed in contact with me since she was in third grade. I moved on from education. She moved on to different schools, but we stayed in contact because she understands the importance of the power of five. In fact, I wrote her AKA crossing letter when she was interested in joining AKA. I said, Chloe, I'll write your letter, but I mean, I haven't really we haven't really worked with each other since you were 8. She said, yeah, but Miss Hunter, you've watched me. You've seen me go through internship programs. You've seen me take community college courses when I was in high school. You know about these things. You know about my character. She's absolutely right. And she follows me on LinkedIn. So I'm very mindful of what I post. This young lady on the right, she is actually a upcoming senior at Georgia Tech. Now here's why I'll tell you what makes her so special. I went and did a talk to Georgia Tech athletes, and she's a manager on the basketball team. And she says, I say everything I say to the football players and the managers and all that. Only 2 people come up and talk to me and ask me to stay connected. Everyone else asks me for advice, and I get that. I get that. But like I said in the beginning, this is not a short, quick fix. You can't go to a talk and then, okay, I got what I need to goodbye. You can, but she knew what time it was. And she said, I would love to grab coffee with you. Here's what I love about her. She actually makes it a point to reach out to me every quarter. I wasn't keeping track. I mean, I was going through Microsoft, was going through quitting, trying to figure out what I was doing. Holidays, all these things come up, and she stayed persistent. And she inspires me to do the same thing. She does not care what it looks like for her to hit my line multiple times and be like, hey, I just want to make sure we can get coffee. Hey, I'm just confirming we're getting coffee. And she just picks my brain. And it makes me think about what kind of advice I'm giving her, what kind of outlook on life I'm telling her to do, what kinds of things I'm encouraging her to do. I'm putting her in contact with other people. And you know what? She follows up with all of them. And she encourages me to keep doing the same thing. These 2 on the side. Kylie is my teammate. She's actually been a coach for several universities. She coaches at Vanderbilt now, which is where I got my MBA. And she's just well connected in the sports realm, which is where I'm working now when I do my leadership development. And so she's just a connector. Everywhere she goes, people love her. So she's going to stay in my power 5. We've been teammates since 2009. Before that, that's when she graduated. We've been teammates since 2006. And here we are, 2025. Here we are, almost 20 years later, and she's still there. So the enforcer, let me tell you about Q. One day when I was going to I was going to the cafe to study, and I'd been told by a lot of people taking the GMAT is hard. It's hard. And I believed them. I don't do well with testing anyway, so I believed them. So one day I go to the gym early in the morning and I ride a bike. I'm riding a bike in Harlem. This is my mode of transportation. It is what it is, y'all. And I'm riding my red bike through Harlem and I get a phone call. And it's Q. Now, Q is from East Harlem. Okay. Q is from the projects. He is from the hood. But he went to business school at Rochester. And his advice to me was B. He would say, B, if I can get in the MBA school, you can get in the MBA school. You way smarter than I am. You could do this. So I believed him, but I did not fully understand how hard this thing was. So I was kind of tired of studying. And so on this particular day, as I'm riding my bike, Q calls my phone and he says, hey, B, what's up? I'm like, hey, Q, how's it going? He says, what are you doing? I said, well, I just left the gym. You know what? I was gonna go to the cafe, but I think I'm gonna take a day off. I'm tired. I think I'm gonna go to the park and lay out. He goes, oh, okay. Interesting. I saw you on the bike. I wonder what you were doing. Cool. So you're not serious. Of course, now I'm looking around. What? He says, yeah, you're not serious. That's okay. You're not taking it seriously. Because if you were taking it seriously, you would understand you can't have days off. But it's cool. Enjoy the park. Have a great day. Click. Y'all, this man hung up on me. He hung up. So you know what I did? I biked all the way to my apartment. I showered, I packed a book bag, and I headed to the cafe. And I set up my book, I set up my laptop, I set up my calculator, and I took a picture, click, and I sent it to him. He didn't respond. He didn't need to. He didn't need to. Q was my enforcer. That's just what it is. He is very comfortable calling me to the mat. And most people are not comfortable doing that. One, because I'm 6'3", but two, because I have a lot of opinions. He don't care. He's willing to call me out and call me on my nonsense. And that's why he's in my top 5, because I know where his heart is, and everybody's going to need an enforcer. And last but not least, this is my mentor. This is Rich Kaplan. Rich Kaplan worked at Microsoft for about 25 years, and I met him during my internship. And here's the biggest takeaway. He no longer works there. He is the board advisor, board leader of the Microsoft alumni group. So he's very well connected. But here's why it's important that I mention Rich. Rich is not the kind of mentor I thought I would have when I got to Microsoft. When you go to corporate or you go to any space that's predominantly non-black, non-brown, non-whatever, mostly white, people often tell you, go find another black woman in leadership, go find another black man in leadership, go find find someone who looks like you in leadership. But y'all, the reality is, and stay with me, the reality is that's not always possible. And so my advice to you as you are building your Power 5 is this: do not have blinders on and only look for people who look like you. That is a trap. It's a trap. Rich and I get along together so well because he's a cynic. He keeps it real. There's a lot of corporate speak happening around me, but not with him. He's going to be honest. He knows how to be the face of something. He knows how to sit up in front of the group and say what he needs to say, but he speaks his mind and he does it eloquently. And he coached me on how to do that, which was important because he knows the audience, because he typically is the audience. So he didn't tell me to tone it down. He said, no, keep that same energy, but start at the end and start with the solution. Take the feelings out, get right into it, and tell them the next step. He coached me through how to take my energy and frustration with whatever I was dealing with and how to communicate it with leadership in a way that was productive, because he had seen many other Black women express themselves and it goes south. And for those of you who are wondering, well, what's in it for him? Don't worry, I asked him that question. One day I said, Rich, what is in it for you? I'm getting so much from you. I'm getting connected. You've introduced me to people. You've invited me places. I mean, I get to say you're my mentor. What is in it for you? And he says, you offer me a perspective that I otherwise wouldn't have. And that's enough for him. He's made all the money he needs to make. He's made all of the connections he needs to make. He's at the top of that Maslow's hierarchy now, right? He's at self-actualization. And all he wants to do is pour into other people. Go find you a Rich Kaplan. There are people who are out here who want to pour into you and they don't look like you. And do not assume because they don't look like you that you can't have anything in common, because you'd be very wrong to assume that, right? Right? Okay. All right, pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. What do Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, Andrew Carnegie, and Warren Buffett all have in common? Andrew Carnegie, by the way, is the magnate from the 1800s. He's the name of Carnegie Hall, the University Carnegie Mellon. I mean, the man was all over the place. He would be a billionaire, if that's possible, a billionaire today in today's times. What do Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, Andrew Carnegie, and Warren Buffett all have in common? I will take some answers. Okay, I see one. They all had mentors that were way more successful than them when they started. Okay. Any other guesses? All right, I'm actually going to tell you it's pretty close. Most people say, well, they're rich, they're famous. Yes, there are those things. They all were part of a mastermind. So, yes, Armand, they all were part of a mastermind. In fact, Andrew Carnegie had a mastermind of over 50 people from over 30 different spheres. So, he was a businessman, but he had people in his sphere who were professors, financiers, politicians, artists. And these were people that he intentionally met with. He made sure to touch all 50 annually at least one time. That's a lot of work. 50. Warren Buffett has a mastermind. Elon Musk has a mastermind. Oprah Winfrey. They are all part of a group that they intentionally meet with and talk about goals. They're not just kicking it, they're talking about next steps and what they're going to do next. And so I would like for you to build a mastermind. 98% of entrepreneurs are actually a part of masterminds. In fact, I have a mastermind right now that I'm running. We have about 7 women, 1 male. So there's about 9 of us. 9 of us, 9 is a pretty high number. If you scan that QR code, you will get a document about how to build your own mastermind. Why is this important? If you don't have a Power 5, if you don't have one, or maybe you have a plethora of like 20 people that are kind of in your orbit, and you really want to whittle it down, and you propose this idea, you say, hey, everybody, I want to meet once a month, and I want to get together, and I want to work through whatever it is that you're stuck on. Here's what I'm stuck on. You don't have to be on the same thing I'm stuck on, but we want to get together once a month for an hour and just work through together the things that we are stuck on. This is an actionable group. Masterminds must be intentional. They shouldn't last more than an hour. You shouldn't really have more than 6 to 8 people in them. And it should be very quick. The structure is very simple. Everyone goes around 1 minute at a time. You have 1 minute to just blah. Tell everybody what is your goal and where you're stuck. Where are you stuck? So I've had people say, I've left my job and I don't know what to do with myself. Do I look for another corporate job or do I go and do what I'm passionate about? And if I do what I'm passionate about, where do I begin? Do I move? Do I like what do I do? It's being stuck, right? They get 1 minute to just blah, vomit it out. The next 3 minutes, you get the brains of the next 7 people to just ask you questions, pepper you with ideas. And the more they ask you questions, the more you have to start answering things like, here's what I'm passionate about. This is how long I've been passionate about it. Actually, I do know where to begin. Actually, I do have a group that I could join. Actually, there is an event on Saturday. And at the end of that 4-minute loop, that person will have to track on a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet in my group, 2 actionable things that they will get completed before next month's meeting. It's not enough to just talk about things. What are 2 things that you can close by next month? You can't solve your problem in one meeting, but you can slowly chip away at it in each meeting. And so my mastermind meets monthly, and we're going all through the year. And if you start from January and go to December, there are 24 little items that you will have gotten accomplished. Why? Because when you're doing it by yourself, there's a very high chance you won't get it done. But because you have a group that you have to attend every month and you have to answer the question, what are the 2 things that you got done last month? When you have to answer that, you typically get it done, more than likely. And if you don't get it done, you know what starts to happen? You start to watch other people growing around you. And now it forces the issue. That's the power of a mastermind. And that is the power of having a Power 5. For some people, they say a mastermind's not enough. I want intentional coaching. And that's what that second QR code is. If you are interested in intentional coaching, a 9 to 12 week sprint where we are just working at things and you're getting coaching, not ideas, not just random thoughts, but actual coaching towards what you're working on, then group coaching is going to be for you. But I encourage you to start your own mastermind, y'all. So, a question I always end things with is, what's something you're going to start doing on Monday? And what's something that you're going to share with a friend? What's something you're going to do differently by Monday? And what's something you're going to share with a friend? Those are things I want you to think about because every session has to be actionable at the end, always. And thank you so much for your time. This last QR code is my link tree. So it has all of my contact information, my email, my LinkedIn, my YouTube, my Instagram, all that stuff. I do have a YouTube channel. It is called Thanks, but no one asked you. And it is a podcast where storytelling meets unsolicited advice. I just did a recording with Isaac Hayes III, who is the creator of Fanbase. I also did a recording with Bam, who is the co-creator of the Trap Museum and now the new co-founder of Culture Wireless. And so I've got tons of guests coming on, and they're just kind of sharing their wisdom as well, right? It's all about unsolicited advice that you didn't know you needed, but you're welcome in advance. So thank you for your time. I'm excited to have some questions. Oh, you're on mute.
Every time I get excited, I get too excited when I come back from backstage because it's like I'm just hearing all the good stuff. I know everyone that's tuning in live, everyone that's gonna watch the replay, when they get to this point right here, they're gonna be like, "Wow, I got a lot of really good information that I can take with me," and hopefully everyone leaves this call feeling like, okay, let me figure out who I can add to my mastermind. Let me find my Power Five. Let me find these things because as you so eloquently said in your stories, like it's necessary. And one thing I will definitely say, I want to again thank you for being here, but I want to say thank you for your storytelling perspective in really putting everything together. I think as a marketer, I love when people are telling stories that resonate with the audience, and I think that you just sharing your story is there are so many things that people that are listening are going to be able to pick from this and be like, you know what, I learned so much, but beyond learning so much, I can apply everything that I learned to find my Power Five. So we're gonna get into some Q&A. Actually, before we get into some Q&A, I want to kind of talk about some of the things that resonated with me because you dropped some. I mean,
Okay.
he was dropping some behind the back, over the shoulder,
Oh,
like
not the
crazy.
basketball references. I hope you're not doing over the shoulder passes.
Right? And then we got some people.
Thank you, Sue.
Sheree Williams, that's my girlfriend. She said the workshop is the worksheet and the workshop are fire. So she's part of my Power Five for sure.
Hey.
And I'm glad that she was able to tune in. And then we have Sue, who said that she's glad she didn't sleep on this. Fabulous storytelling. I 1,000% agree. The storytelling was phenomenal. And it just really painted the picture for all of us, because one thing that you very well showcases that like people in your Power Five, you may think that someone in your Power Five has to be someone that you speak to every day right now, but it could be someone that you've had a profound impact on and you didn't even know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and one thing I'll also say is I really appreciated how you shared just the power of being a mentor and having mentees. I think as people, career professionals, a lot of people in the Trabaja audience, they're like, I want to find a mentor. I want to find a mentor. I want to find a mentor. But how about you find someone that you can mentee, someone that would, for lack of a better word, is dying to be in your space,
Exactly.
would love to kind of get the knowledge that you can impart. And I guarantee just by you giving that and paying it forward, you're going to find the people that are going to mentor you. And I think to your point about being being a mentor and having mentees really helps hold you accountable. I think that new level of accountability makes you worthy of someone that would want to, that someone wants to mentor you. You can
Yeah.
attract like a more high value mentor by being a mentor to someone younger than you, for sure.
Absolutely. So there is one thing there's a caveat that I feel like I always have to say. I asked the 15-year-olds, I said, how many of you think this is like mean to say, like, oh, this group of people I shouldn't be hanging out with so much anymore? And nobody wanted to say it, but one girl raised her hand. She was like, well, some people add value in ways that we can't see. And I was like, okay, I love that for them. And they can still be your friend. And you need to be spending time with other people who are moving in a direction that you are moving. So I
Hmm.
wanted to make it very, very clear because I told the older women, I said, I have shedding season. I am a social butterfly. I will talk and collect humans left, right, and center. But there comes a time where you need to like shed some people because now that you've gotten to know them,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, ooh, actually, we're not aligned. Actually, you value things I don't value. And
Hmm.
what do? We keep them and we don't
Yeah.
need to. So I just go ahead and have a nice little break up. And it's important. It's very important to me to keep my peace and keep my circle. So
Yeah.
I have lots of friends, but there are friends that I know when it's go time,
Hmm.
I'm not telling everybody what I'm working on. I'm
Hmm.
telling this group because
Yeah.
this group is going to help me action. So I want to make sure that I say, I'm not telling you to fire all of your friends. Don't do that. You need your friends. But I am telling you to be more intentional about who
Yeah.
you're spending your time with and really thinking, what does your friend add value to you? How do they add value? And what value do you add to them? And another question a 15-year-old asked me, a guy, he says, well, what happens if you're not the smartest person in the group? What happens to you now? I said, bingo. That's exactly how it should be.
I love that.
You
I
should
love
not be the smartest. They should all be smarter than you. And guess what it's going to force you to do? It's going to force you to earn your keep.
I love that, and it's so funny because we have this Q&A, and it's like you just literally in that touched upon a couple of these questions that I have here, and I'll let everyone know these questions are unrehearsed, so you're getting the most raw, unfiltered version of these the answers of the questions that I'm asking. But the first question is really, I think, something that is going to resonate with people, regardless whether you're entry level, mid career, senior, or even transitioning. What are some signs that your current circle might be holding you back, rather than lifting you up, as your Power Five should?
Yeah. So one of the first things that I noticed when I was starting to, like I said, I started to work out in these cafes,
Mhm.
and I needed to work around people who were busy. That's just me. I can't work in silence by myself. I need to be surrounded by people moving. Um, and when I would get to know them, we were just having different levels of conversation. Everything that we were talking about was so future based,
Yeah.
action based, aspirational, and it spoke to me. And I love kikiing with my friends, but we don't do that because we were all teachers. Like, we don't have real aspirations for real. I mean, we do. We want our kids to do well. We pour into other people, but we don't really pour into ourselves as educators. And so I wanted to be around this group of people who were forward thinking. And so it was like, ooh, that felt really good. I like that. And so I think just having like seeing a different perspective, just being around new groups, pick up on what you like. I would say there were also some people who were kind of trying to tell me, like, I remember some dude, I didn't even know him. I didn't even know this man. Never mind, let me not get into men. But this man said to me, you don't even need an MBA. You could just go get that job on your own. And I was like, first of all, sir, you don't even know why I'm getting an MBA. It's not necessarily just to get a job. You don't even know where I'm coming from. You're
Yeah.
just giving advice. And I feel like I'm around a lot of people who do that, who
Hmm.
just like tell me what to do. And it's like, you didn't even take a moment to think about why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not actually going I'm not going to get my MBA because I need to feel accredited. I actually want to expand my network. Now that I've gotten a dose of what it feels like to be around this new level of people, I want to expand my network. And that's exactly what getting my MBA did for me. So it's not really about the paper. It's not about feeling lesser than. For me, it was like, I want to see what I can do next.
I love
It was
that.
a personal push.
That makes perfect sense, and that kind of ties right into the next question, because just in you referencing that man, shame on you, whoever you are, wherever you are in this world. But
Shame.
right, I can say that we can recognize that sometimes just based off conversation, people aren't in alignment with the goals that we have and where we want to be. And if we realize that they're not in alignment, um, again, not to say that we're not going to be their friend anymore, but we do have to find that course correct and align ourselves with those people. So the next question would be, how can you like intentionally identify and attract new people who align with your goals?
That's a great question. It's a loaded question. There's
Yeah,
no
we're
right or
going.
wrong answer here. So I'm going to kick it back to you, Armand. Armand, what do you do? And then
Yeah,
I'm
you
going
know,
to answer it.
that's a so I would also say I'm very much a social butterfly when the time comes to it. So I just genuinely like having conversations with people, and rather than it being put on me, I first want to learn about them and learn
Yep.
about what their interests are and where they see themselves and what they're working on. And just from me getting that, then I'm able to resonate and say, okay, you know what? I let me be the connector. I know someone that's working on this that has a similar interest, or again, a story I'll give is I went to in the last year. I went to 7 different conferences, all conferences towards Black professionals. So the Afrotechs, the Diversitechs, the Black Men in Tech, all of these different conferences. And I went to one last year in Houston in August, and I met this guy. His name is Deontay. He's one of my friends on. Definitely, I'll call him a friend now and business partner. And it's so funny. We connected there. And when I knew that he was in cybersecurity, anytime I found someone or met someone that was in cybersecurity, I was like, oh, I met someone that just into the same thing.
Yeah.
Come to find out, he has his own cybersecurity business, and at every conference I went to for the rest of the year, I would see him there. He'd have a table, he'd have a booth, he'd be speaking. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? If I can introduce you to people, someone that I know that's looking to get into cybersecurity, that is the first way that I'll be useful towards whatever your
Yep.
goals are. And I know that when the time comes where I need that support, I'm working on something, I see an area where we can collaborate. It's easier to have that conversation because I've already shown you that whatever your goals are, I'm here with you. I'm
You're
here to
aligned.
support. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you touched on something, and I'll answer your question, but you touched on something that taps back into what I started this with, which is like this is a long game
Mhm.
task.
Yeah.
And everything you just said reminded me of the book Go Giver. And it's the premise that business owners, like when you're trying to sell people stuff, I mean, you're gonna make some money, but if you want to make long-term dollars, give to other people because they will return the favor. And you don't give to get it back, but you give it because that's who you are. Um, and people do business with people they trust.
Yeah.
To answer your question, so I actually had this strategy when I was trying to leave HR at Microsoft and go into operations. When trying to do that, talking to hiring managers, I'm working with engineers here. These are engineers interviewing me, and they can't figure out how a former teacher and an HR professional could understand operations. And I was like, look, I look like my picture now. I'm gonna just hold it here. I was like, I'm sorry. I was a classroom teacher in Harlem. That is operations. Full stop. And it's one of those things where it's like, you could never do my job. You could have never done my job. But instead of getting frustrated, what I did was I played the long game. And so when I would meet someone, I started with my mentor. I said, Mentor Rodka, you've known me since my internship. I'm trying to make a move. You know me. Please introduce me to 2 people in these 2 realms because I don't know which path to take. Introduce me to 2. And she said, I will do that. And what you're going to do is when you meet them, you're going to ask them to introduce you to 3 more people. And I did that. And for 3 months, I met 60 people in Microsoft, most of them CVPs, because that's where I started. And that's where her network was. So every time someone introduced me to someone else, they were at the CVP level. And I met an amazing guy named David Boker. David Boker is the CVP of casual games at Microsoft. That's the solitaire. That's the spider. Didn't even know they had an org for that. And he gave me an amazing gem, which was called the Statement of Capabilities. And it was a tool for me to talk about my capabilities instead of confusing people with my resume. Instead of talking about I was a teacher, I was a dean, I was vice principal, I could say I'm a change management architect, because that's what you are when you
Mhm.
take over a school. I am detail oriented. I'm solutions based. And then I could tell you my solutions and my capabilities. But that kind of networking, like that web approach, it's awesome because they're going to introduce you to people who mimic the energy that you gave in that meeting. which is
Yeah.
great.
I love that. I love that, and I definitely think that more people can take from that example. Um, Even if you aren't fortunate enough to work at a large company like Microsoft, start with the company that you're at. You know,
Yep.
start where you're at. Start with the new connections that you make on LinkedIn or wherever it may be. Build that rapport to a manner where if you're asking them to introduce you to someone, they're using their brain to figure out, okay, who's the best people to connect this person with, that it makes sense. I think we're gonna do a couple more questions. We're gonna go a little bit over the hour mark. It's perfectly fine though, because I think the conversation has
Let's
been
do
really
it.
good. And hey, listen, if LinkedIn lets us, we're gonna keep going. So we'll probably do maybe like 2 3 more questions. You know what, let's do this. We'll do 2 rapid fire questions,
Okay.
and then we'll do like a couple, like we could, if you needed to dive in, we could dive in, because you mentioned something about virtual mentor, like virtual. Can someone in your Power Five be a virtual mentor? Do you think that's something that maybe like someone you don't personally know but you learn from? Is that something like, or is that more of like they can be your mentor but not in your Power Five?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and name her. Her name is Shelly Lombard. And Shelly Lombard, I met her at Baddies in Tech. We
Yes.
were both on a panel and we sat next to each other, and she just liked the way I sounded. She was like, "Hey, I got this group of women that I have memberships for, and I'd love for you to come talk to them about something." I actually talked to them about this topic. And she's a 5-time board member. She worked at NASDAQ. She was like one of the first Black women to work there. And she and I connected because I'm such a natural networker.
Mm-hmm.
But when she was my age, she didn't network.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, I could have been on 20 boards, but I just didn't see the value. I didn't do it. And so we connected because we're different in that way. When I started this business, I said, "Hey, I want to monetize this thing, but I don't really know how to do it." I called her and we talked 2 weeks ago. And so I met this lady one time, been on her show once,
Mm-hmm.
and I engaged with her on LinkedIn, but I set up time with her. I said, "Hey, Shelly," one, because I trust her, two, because she has self awareness. That's her whole business is built on self awareness. So, yeah, 100% you can. Um, yeah, and I don't even talk to her that often, but when I need something or she needs something from me, we reach out and we chat. We end up talking for like an hour, hour and a half all the time.
I love that. And I'm gonna let you know the people them in the comments are saying keep going. So we're gonna keep it going for a little bit longer. I really appreciate you sharing that, because what I'll say is, just from personal experience, I would say mentorship comes in many forms. For someone like me, as a only child to a single mother, like
Mm,
my first form of mentorship was really a lot of these books. Like, especially when it came to getting into entrepreneurship, I didn't have too many people around me that I knew were into business, wanted to do these things, wanted to, push themselves in that way. And I know you can relate. Entrepreneurship is a sport. It's very much a sport. It's
yeah,
very much a like a
yeah,
skill that we have to learn. But we can't feel like we have all of the answers, and it's always a good to find a mentor in some shape or form. Now,
yeah.
don't be fooled by these internet gurus by any means,
No, please don't do this,
but
y'all.
but definitely find a mentor that you know, like, and trust, and that you are interested in building with, and being able to kind of have them see your growth along the way, right? So let's see. Okay, this is a perfect one. How can you turn your peers or your colleagues into strategic collaborators in your circle, not just work friends?
Yeah. I think you said it earlier, right? Getting to know more about them. Um, Sometimes we just talk very surface level things, or we're like kind of catty and petty with our friends at work. And like you really need to go a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You just ask them, how do you spend your free time outside of drinking with me? Like, what do you do? You'll be surprised. You will be very surprised. I mean, I'm just now finding out. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like 2 years ago is when I realized everybody in tech had 2 jobs. And it was like, I felt stupid. I was like, do I need to have 2 jobs? Why
Yeah.
does everybody have 2 jobs?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's that, right? And they're not talking about it, but they'll talk to you about it, but only if you ask, right? They don't want to like, not everybody wants to tell everybody how much they making or what they're doing. So they keep it moving. But if you ask, what are some of the things you work on? I have a coworker, his name is Phil, and he is, I mean, he's a nerd at heart. He's a self-proclaimed nerd. That's what he calls himself. So I'm allowed to say it. And he um has these really interesting hobbies where he likes to build things from scratch, whether it be an app, or whether it be I'm going to take all these things on Google Maps and make a list and then create another app and then share it and see, just because it's interesting to him.
Mhm.
And not only does that inspire me, because I love a good hobby, but he was adamant about like, Bert, you got to start coding. I want you to get to start coding. And I thought about it for 5 days and I was like, no, I'm good. But um, go deeper with your friends and then invite them to stuff you do. So I would join book clubs and then I would
Mhm.
invite a few people. I love a game night. So I would invite them. And that's how we got to know what we like. But people aren't usually so forward with their side things. So go deeper in the conversation.
No, I love that. I love that. And I definitely think that one thing that I've noticed, because I would say I noticed the same thing going to these conferences. Like, what I notice is that there will be people that will work at these large tech companies, but then they will have their own business on the side that is still, that's very much pulling from those same skills that they were employing at their business every single day. But now they got some extra change to throw in the business that those people that are doing it by themselves that maybe don't have that luxury of having that tech career or anything like that are able to do. So, if someone could work, and this is no shade in any manner, if someone could work two jobs that don't fulfill them, someone can very well work a tech career that they're passionate about and then still build their business around something that they're equally passionate about, and
Yeah.
then not interfere or be a problem. So
It would
I
be easier if you liked it.
1,000. Yes, because uh shit gets hard out here. I'll be real, shit gets hard, right? This is real talk. Shit
Today
gets
was a day for me. I was like, woo, I can't wait for this webinar because I'm about to throw something through the window, but I'm glad I'm here.
but so because Trabaja's audience does include people that may be pivoting into tech,
Yes.
pivoting into a new industry. I feel like we do have to talk about, like, what's a step for someone to build a Power Five if they're new into it, into the tech space, or new into a different organization and don't necessarily have those connections built just yet.
Yeah, you got to go get it.
Oh, gotta go get it.
You got to go get it. They're not coming to you. So you can go on Meetup, you can go on LinkedIn. There's groups being had everywhere, and you don't have to attend them regularly. Just pop in. Place things are happening at the gathering spot. Well, I'm in Atlanta, so I'm talking about Atlanta myself. But there are a lot of little hubs, little co-working spaces. Go find them. Go online. I would give you a chat GPT prompt, but I don't have one off the top of my head. But I guarantee you could ask chat GPT what to ask it to get
Mm-hmm.
what you need, but you got to go get it. I literally was and once you go get it, stay in touch. I just did a quick post about this on my Instagram today because I give unsolicited advice. And my unsolicited advice was there's this stigma around double texting. And I
Yeah,
was like,
drop that. You gotta drop that.
what is the double texting stigma about? Some dude said this to me 2 years ago, like, you double texted me. And I was like, yeah, Mug, I'm trying to ask you a question. Respond. What are we doing? And in my mind, it makes sense to do that. But
Yeah.
because he called it double texting, I was kind of like, oh, this is a thing now. The problem with that mindset is it starts to seep into other places.
Yeah.
And you don't even know you're thinking like that. So the same person who's worried about double texting is also worried about reaching out to the new person they just met.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do reach out to the person you just met and they don't respond, you do nothing. You don't follow up, you don't press because you're in a we can't double text mindset. Y'all have to drop that. The person that you need to connect with is busy, as they should be. And I personally, Agatha, the girl that I said I meet with her every quarter. She will follow up. And I told her that. I said, if I don't respond, follow up with me because I'm busy and I don't mean to ignore you. Most people don't say that, but until someone tells you to leave them alone or they block you, you shouldn't be getting blocked, y'all. Let me just don't do too much. But It's this mindset about like, I can't be too seen. Yes, you be persistent, be
Yeah,
consistent and be persistent. So once you get out there and you go get it and you make a connection, make it your job to stay in contact. Own the relationship. Own it. It will take you much further than just waiting for someone to come help you. That's not going to happen.
I love that. I love that, and it kind of ties into. So I made this quote a while back. I used to do Instagram show with one of my business partners, and something
Hey,
spoke to me at that time. And the quote that I made was, "Our life is really determined by the questions we ask and the conversations we have." And sometimes, to your point about the double texting thing, it's like people are busy, people are doing their own thing. If you look at your phone between today and next week, you probably get a whole bunch of messages. Some of them get read, some of them you thought you responded to in your head, but you didn't actually get it out. So there shouldn't be any reason, especially if you're doing it with genuine intentions, you're doing it with the purpose of connecting and building. You shouldn't be afraid to send a double message, because what is that? Let's there was a time where we had to send letters. We had to
right,
send, and we didn't even know if they got it. But I'm
right.
gonna send another letter because you didn't respond to my last one. So, like, you know what I mean. So I agree with that. I think that's a bar. I'm gonna have to like that video. So I think we're gonna get two more and wrap up. But
It says forever two more.
right now, that's right. I'm double questioning right now. We're gonna do two more, right?
See what you did
So
there.
and I think this one will resonate because like you've kind of shared your experience and your journey, and you've really given some tactical steps. But there are other people that are in the same position, that maybe from someone that's pivoting from into tech, from like education or retail or hospitality. What kind of roles or relationships should they prioritize first when it comes to building their power circle?
Rules, roles,
Roles. Sorry, like
roles.
yeah, like
Yeah, that's the beauty of going into a new industry. You get to do kind of what you want. So let me tell you how I did it. And let me tell you what I learned. So I started out in HR because to me, it was the most plausible connection for other people to make. I
mm,
tried to get in the head of recruiters and be like, what would a recruiter understand? Educator to HR. So I did HR. Y'all, I don't like HR. I mean, I thought I did, but like I don't. I don't like it. I like building things.
mm,
And so when I got into Microsoft, what I realized was I needed to embrace what I brought to the table because my unique experience was what got me in there in the first place.
mm,
And by embracing my skill set, I can actually speak better to the role that I want. Right. So, operations, for example, I should have started in operations. Why? Because I had put together lesson plans. I had created entire curriculums for teachers, which means you have to create a roadmap, right? You have to put in benchmarks approved by the state. I then have to roll it out and tell all the teachers about it. I have to then guide them through it throughout the school year. That is all a person in operations is doing. They have to be a clear communicator. That's it. Now, what I should have done was really dove deeper into the job descriptions and made the connections for recruiters. Instead, I just was kind of like, what's the easiest way for them to understand? If you really want to go into marketing, if you really want to go into operations, make the connection with your story about the things that you have done because they're not going to understand.
mm,
You have to make it clearer for them with a compelling story, and at the end of the day, if you're able to do that, you're an amazing communicator. And if
mhm,
you're an amazing communicator, you can actually do any job because that's really what it comes down to. There was a quote somebody said, uh, and I wrote it down and I ain't going to have it. He said, it's like hire for attitude, teach competence,
mhm,
right? Essentially, you need to get hired off of your energy. The competencies will come. Every hiring manager does not believe that. Fine. You will find the many that do.
yeah,
Many of them understand that. So don't limit yourself. Also, this world is changing much faster than anybody could imagine, and people are seeing the value in having someone from a different discipline and different background come in. So honestly, honor it, hone it, own it. I'm telling you this from somebody who did not do it. I played the little game. I don't play that game anymore. I tell people, people want to talk to me about basketball and Microsoft. When I give talks, as you saw, what did I talk about? My kids,
Mhm.
because that's where my heart is,
Yeah,
and I can speak to that all day.
yeah.
So when you lean into your strength and what you like, you're actually going to do a better job of promoting where you want to be.
Mm, that's a bar. And honestly, we could end there, but we're gonna have one more question because I got it right. I got one more for you because you said something that was really important. Everything you said has been really good, but when you were talking about Q, I remember that
Oh
Q,
boy, I can't
right?
wait to
And
tell them.
right, you were talking about just finding someone that is an enforcer, being able to have someone in your power five that maybe may say things that make you feel uncomfortable, but challenge you, maybe intimidating. And one thing I'll say, I know that because you come from the sports background, that probably is what makes you more coachable than others. But like, what is some advice you would give for someone to include someone like that, to include people who challenge you into your five in power five, even if they know it's going to make them feel uncomfortable? Yeah.
The question is, how would you do that?
Yeah, what would be some advice you would give?
You honestly, what I like to do, it's kind of like when you ask ChatGPT, you put your idea in, you're like, hey, this is what I want to do, clean it up,
Mm-hmm,
and then you move on. The
mm-hmm,
smarter thing to do is, hey, ChatGPT, what am I missing here?
mm,
What should be improved here? Start asking the people you hang out with really difficult questions. Like, hey, this happened. What would be your honest opinion about it? The people that are going to, and choose wisely. But I started doing this with some friends. I kind of knew who would be honest with me, but I started asking them about a scenario that had happened at school. And I had a friend who kind of was like, B, I'm usually with you, but honestly, you're kind of a knucklehead. So quite frankly, honestly, I really feel like that was on you. And I looked at her completely different after that. She had never talked to me like that, but it was only because I never asked.
mm.
See, I'm the type of person, I'm going to tell you how I feel, whether you ask me or not. And I'm working on it sometimes. Most people do not feel they have a place to give you advice. Most people don't feel like they have the space to give you critical feedback. Give somebody the space to give you critical feedback and see what happens.
Mm.
You're gonna see who's been sitting on some stuff for a while, and then it's all gonna come out. You're gonna be like,
And
and
another thing.
I will say this. They used to say this at Microsoft a lot, and they would say it in D&I training, and it was kind of like for people who were offended or didn't want to do something. It was kind of like if you're having an emotional response to something, stop and ask yourself why.
Mm,
If you are having an emotional response to something, stop and ask yourself why. I'm the type of person when I was younger, I would cry when my coach would call me out on something. And I only cried when I knew he was right. It
mm,
was one of those things like you could tell me I'm being lazy. I would just be mad because I'm like, I'm not lazy. That's just stupid. I don't know why you would say that. But he would say something like, I don't know. You're not doing a very good job blocking out tonight. And I'm like, I know. When it's real, when you agree with it, there's an emotional response.
mm.
So listen to those feelings, right? So ask those tough questions. Give people the space to give you critical feedback, and they're gonna let it all out. And if they don't, it's okay. Try again another time. But if they really don't, I don't know. You need someone who's gonna be honest with you.
Mm. I love that. I love that. We want honest people in our Power Five, people that keep it real. Um, I want to say, wow. First of all, I know there's some comments here. We got some people saying they like that. They said that's real. Chris said that's real. So I think everyone that's tuning in, whether it be live or when they catch the replay, they're gonna be really in for a treat with everything that you shared. Um, I know that we're gonna connect more. We're gonna be able to have some more conversations. But I really want to say thank you for being here, Britt. I think it was a really incredibly valuable session. And I think that this is something that everyone can really take and apply starting today. Like it's not like, oh, I gotta yeah, no, you can start today. You can really start go through your phone, go through your contacts list. Who are the last 10 people that you've had a conversation with, and did that conversation add value to what your goals are for the next
Ooh,
quarter? And if they didn't, then you you're gonna go to rewatch this. You're gonna do the Power Five workshop because I know some of y'all didn't do the Power Five workshop during the thing. So we're gonna do the Power Five workshop. You know what I mean? And you can watch this whole episode because literally people was watching Love Island for the last 18, 18 weeks in a row, hour 25 minutes. So we could definitely. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm being a clown now. But I want to say again. I want to say to everyone that tuned in. I want to say thank you. If you enjoyed this session, please make sure you share, like, follow Britt, and all the work that she's doing. I do want to give you a quick moment to if there's anything you want to share before we close out. I want to give you the stage one more time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank y'all so much
Oh,
for tuning in. This has been really awesome. I love talking. I don't know if you guys can tell. My passion, for those of you who are wondering, yes, I do work with adults, but my passion is children. It most certainly is. So some of the work that I do is with students age 14 through 24, because as much as adults need this, kids need this a lot younger. So connect with me on LinkedIn. You have my link tree. We'll make sure to send you a follow-up. And if you're interested in group coaching, I'm kicking one off in August, and it's going to be fun. I like to, we can grow and have fun. Ask any of my former students. So thank you so much.
I love that, and I already know I'm trying to be part of the mastermind. You said you only have one man.
One guy.
Let's get one more in here. Let's get one more, right? So, but again, I want to say thank you to everyone that tuned in. Thank you to Britt for sharing her knowledge, expertise, and her experiences. And again, if you took away something from this, please make sure you share it with a friend. Make sure you tag it in the comments. If there's a saying, they used to say that if you don't write things down, it makes it harder for you to remember. Well, now we're in the age where everyone's typing and things like that. If you still got notepads, still do those. But if
I got two.
Yeah, right. I'm the same way. I got so many empty notebooks back there. So write it in the comments. Do whatever you have to do to make sure the information that you're consuming, you're actually internalizing through action. So I appreciate everyone. We're gonna see you guys on the next episode of the Purple Room, where we don't just talk about change, we actually strategize, we have real conversations, and shit gets real. Shit gets real over here. So peace out, y'all.
Bye.